The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was passed on July 2nd of that year. It provided for an end to discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin in schools or other facilities that serve the general public. Within an hour of the act's passing, segregationists fervently responded with an affirmation, sometimes violent, of their beliefs. The Heart of Atlanta Motel, for example, immediately filed suit following the Civil Rights Act's success. The suit would go on to reiterate Congress's ability to enforce the Civil Rights Act via the Commerce Clause of the Constitution, but not all segregationists chose to resist through legal means. The Civil Rights Act ignited a powder keg beneath the belief of many segregationists. It exposed racism in the South even further, revealing the lengths some segregationists were willing to go to in the name of discrimination. Although the act, in the immediate period following its establishment, led to much success in the South, like the integration of many restaurants in Albany, Georgia, most traditionally segregated areas saw a redoubling of efforts. After a demonstration in Selma, Alabama, for example, a peaceful meeting in a church was ended with tear gas and beatings. The sheriffs who suspended the church's right to assembly claimed they pacified a riot. Some of these segregationist efforts didn't just imply restrictions upon blacks' rights, but deliberately used the legal system as a means of suspending civil rights activists' First Amendment rights. Judge James A. Hare is responsible for one of these blatant restrictions on the right of assembly. Representing the state of Alabama, Hare banned the assembly of 3 or more persons of SNCC, the SCLC, or those under the sponsorship of movement leaders in a public place. The extent of this segregation reached beyond just movement members or typical sympathizers. Even people who simply listened to integrationists were the target of discrimination in the passionate time following the Civil Rights Act. One such anecdote involved a respectable Mississippi family becoming so ostracized by their neighbors that they were forced to move from their community, all because they listened to an integrationist. The new act created a stronger legal justification for the civil rights movement, but the creation of this justification came during a time of much political intrigue. The summer of 1964 saw 2 other important acts passed besides the Civil Rights Act. Within about a month of July 2, 1964, LBJ easily won a vote granting him the power to act in Vietnam, and barely clinched a vote waging his war on poverty. The difficulty of passing his anti-poverty, Great Society legislation was emblematic of a deeper development occurring in the American political system. As the Democratic Party began to manifest as the party of civil rights, it faced the prospect of alienating its traditional base. Evident in LBJ's presidential campaign in 1964, he had the challenge of reconciling the Missouri Freedom Democratic Party and the rising influence of Goldwater sympathizers in the South, all while attempting to cement his legacy with landmark legislation. It's remarkable, then, that LBJ so successfully did this as he won the 1964 election in a massive landslide. Regardless, Goldwater's influence sowed the seeds of a Republican South, and LBJ's rising, albeit tepid support of the movement slowly forged the Democratic Party as a representation of civil rights.